Okay, today we're going to look at Chapter 1, an introduction to structure and function of the body. And this chapter is just to give you that background that you're going to need to complete the rest of the chapters in the book. So we're just going to take a quick look at it. Be sure and take some Cornell notes. You'll be using those notes tomorrow in class, and you'll be comparing those in your groups and developing questions, and we'll be going over them just in your group activities. When you get to class tomorrow, we'll have stations set up. At that time, you'll go from station to station. There'll be some activities, and that'll be a little quiz at the end as well. So here we go. So let's take a look at our objectives. We're going to define the word anatomy and physiology. We're going to discuss the order of increasing complexity. And what that means is, what is the smallest unit of measure in the body? The smallest unit of the measure is going to be, actually, if you look back as far as we can go, it's going to be the chemical atoms that comprise the cell. Then it's going to be the cell. Then you have a whole bunch of cells together and they make tissue. And a whole bunch of tissues together make organs. And a whole bunch of organs together make systems. So that's how we sort of look at the whole process. So I'm sure you're going to see that on a test somewhere, that it starts at the chemical, then the atom, then the atoms form tissue, the tissue forms organs, the organs form systems. And then finally we're going to look at the term anatomical position, and what that means when you're looking at medical language. It is anything that is defined as if the patient were in anatomical position. So it's going to make a little bit more sense as we go along. So you're going to be able to list and define the principal directional terms, the sections or planes of the body. You're going to describe the body's relationship with other body parts, like how does everything work together. And you're going to be able to list 9 abdominal pelvic regions of the abdominal pelvic quadrant. So don't worry, all this is going to make sense. Those of you that have had my anatomy and terminology class, you can tell that abdominal is one element. The O just kind of binds things together. And then pelvic. So when you break that word down, abdominal means your abdomen, and your pelvic is your pelvis. So this is going to look at any region in that whole area, from the abdomen all through the pelvis. You guys are going to be able to list the major cavities of the body and the subdivisions of each. You guys are going to learn a whole lot here in a short amount of time. You're going to look and discuss the contrast of the axial and the appendicular subdivisions of the body. And what that means is, when you look at the skeleton has an axial skeleton. Axis, just think about the axis of the earth. And the axis goes down through the middle. The same thing with your axial skeleton. It goes down through your middle. And then the appendicular, an appendage is anything that kind of hangs off from the middle. So that's what that means, appendicular subdivision. And then the anatomical regions. We're going to be taking all of that. We're going to look at the term homeostasis. And you guys should be able to give examples of typical homeostasis mechanism. Homeostasis just means balance. So organization is the most important part, the characteristic of body structure. And here we go. This is what we talked about earlier. There's the atom, then the molecule, and that's at the chemical level. Then you have the cell, that's the smallest structural unit. That just means one builds on top of the other. And it is organized from various chemicals. Then a bunch of cells make a tissue, a bunch of tissues make an organ, and organs make a system. And that your body's comprised of 11 systems. So here's an example. You can look up here, it shows the atom. A bunch of atoms make a molecule. And here's just the structure of a protein. Then it's just giving you an example here of heart tissue. And these are the fibers. And then all together, the whole bunch of fibers or tissues make a heart. And here it's just showing you the different systems of the body. And all of these together make an organism, which is you. So when you look at anatomical position, I'm going to show you a picture here on the next slide. But this is just the position that you stand. Now, if you guys want to really learn how to do this, I want you to stand up. You can pause the video. You can stand up, and I want you to stand in anatomical position. You can't do it totally because your feet are supposed to be sort of dropped down, but you can position your hands, position your neck. Then that way you can kind of get the feel of it and you won't forget it. And what it does is it just gives meaning to directional terms. So when I say to you that something's on the lateral surface, then you know lateral means the sides. So here's a position of someone in anatomical position. True anatomical position, her feet would be in just a little bit of a down position. But take a look at her palms are out. Her thumbs are kind of pointing out towards the side. So if you get, would like for you to pause the video right now, stand up and literally feel that, because in that way you won't forget it. So superior, circle this term, superior. Superior is towards the head or upper or anything above. So if I were to say that the head is superior to the waist, more towards the head, but the waist is superior to the feet. So it just means anything that is above the point of origin. Inferior means more towards the feet or lower. So that makes sense. Anterior is on the front or the surface of the body, and posterior is on the back. Medial is more towards the middle. Well, that makes sense. Medial sounds like middle. Lateral is away from the middle or toward the sides. So one of the muscles in the body that's on the side of your, near your abdomen is called the lats. People, when they do exercise, they do lat exercises. That just means laterals. Proximal is towards or near the trunk or nearest point of origin of a structure. So what we could give an example here that I could say that if I was looking at my femur is the long bone in the leg, biggest bone in the body. Well, it has a distal portion, which is furthest away from the top, and a proximal portion, which is nearest to the trunk of the body. Distal and proximal. Superficial just means near to the surface of the body. Deep means that it's deep inside. That kind of makes sense. Sagittal plane. Lengthwise plane that divides a structure into right and left sections. I'm going to give you a handout of this so you guys can learn these. It'll be important to learn it for a test. Mid-sagittal, it divides the body into two equal halves. Well, there's that word mid again. So we know that it's going to be down through the middle, going to divide the body into halves. Frontal or coronal plane, that is just your front, divides you lengthwise into an anterior and posterior section. And transverse plane is a horizontal plane that divides a structure into upper and lower segments. Like I said, I'm going to give you guys a handout so you'll be able to study these. Oh, here's a picture. And this will be basically what the handout looks like. These little arrows here, that's showing you lateral is towards the side. This sagittal plane, see how it cuts the body kind of through the middle, but it's into right and left sections. Transverse plane cuts the body into like upper and lower halves. And then look at this frontal plane, and it cuts the body into front and back sections.